To infinity and beyond. This is the phrase that won the hearts of millions, the quote that helped create a box office hit. But most importantly, these four simple words started a revolution in animation, headed by one company, Pixar Animation Studios. When most people think of Pixar, they think of classic films such as Toy Story and Finding Nemo. But Pixar is much more than just that. It is a company that believes in hard work, dedication, and most importantly, creativity. It began as a small division of Lucasfilms and worked its way up to become a prized subsidiary of the Disney Corporation. I am here today not to tell you about the films that they have created, but the story behind those films, the history of Pixar Studios. Pixar was founded in 1979 as Graphics Group, a division of Lucasfilm. It was headed by Dr. Ed Catmull and specialized in computer animation, working on films such as Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Their impressive work in this film caught the eye of the world, especially millionaire Steve Jobs. In 1986, he bought the group for $10 million and transformed them into an independent company. Initially, Pixar was meant to sell the sophisticated hardware, the Pixar Image Computer. It was directed towards the government and medical community, but never sold enough to cover the costs. Steve Jobs then had employed John Lasseter show his animation shorts made on the hardware to the world at SIGGRAPH in 1986. The short, Luxo Jr., opened to great acclaim, and the next year became the first Pixar film to be nominated for an Academy Award, according to the Pixar website. They continued to make more shorts such as Knick Knack and Toy Story, but they are still facing budget issues. So they broke into the commercial business, working for companies such as Lifesavers, Trident, and Listerine. But their big break came in the form of a deal with Disney in 1991, who promised to produce and distribute 3 feature-length films. And thus, Pixar Animation Studios was born. For the next 4 years after striking the deal, Pixar animators were hard at work creating Toy Story. They worked tirelessly to perfect the story, the animation, and the characters. And in the end, their work paid off. Really paid off, as engrossing more than $350 million and going down in history as one of the greatest children's films of all time. As seen in the documentary, The Pixar Story, the animators immediately began working on their next film. But Pixar was having much more trouble than just figuring out a new concept. They had received less profit than they would have liked from Toy Story, and realized that they had no story rights whatsoever. Without those rights, Disney could make Toy Story 2 a straight-to-video ordeal, leaving Pixar without the story and characters it had worked so hard to create. Pixar was later given the rights to make the feature film Toy Story 2, which ended up grossing more than the original. But relations between Jobs and Disney exec Michael Eisner were very rocky. Jobs wanted a whole new contract in which Pixar would take on 50% of the costs, but would also receive 50% of the profit, as well as complete creative control. Eisner wasn't buying it, though, and in mid-2004 cut off negotiations completely. Productions for films were shut down, and Jobs announced that Pixar was actively looking for new partners. They never did find another partner, and the two companies were reunited again in September of 2005 with the resignation of Eisner. Now, Disney was prepared to accept those terms, and in 2006 went one step further and acquired Pixar Studios for themselves. Pixar Studios continued to make more successful films such as Cars, Ratatouille, Up, and Toy Story 3, each going on to great acclaim and instantly becoming a classic. Though this is the end of the history, the story doesn't stop here. Through all of this, Pixar has earned the reputation as one of the best animation studios of all time and does not intend to lose it anytime soon. At this moment, they are working on 3 new films to be released in the near future, titled Newt, Brave, and a sequel to the 2001 hit Monsters, Inc. Overall, Pixar has had an incredible 30 years of history. They've faced the up and down with the same dedication and worked tirelessly to be the best they can be, always hoping to make one child's life just a little bit better. I hope that through this, you have learned a little bit about the story behind the movies, the faces behind the characters. And I, for one, hope that Pixar will continue on to new heights and will leave behind a legacy that will never be forgotten.